I want to also address the question that initially came from the person who asked me to invite you, and that was about, blocking or harmonizing or whatever you want to do with the radiation energy coming from cell phones and also from other cordless devices, and what you would suggest to do about that. Anything else?
Okay, then for that question first, as I said, in the beginning I started with the idea of blocking frequencies, and we started with, I tested with a meter that measures radio waves. I tested copper, I tested lead, I tested all the metals. I got these, samples of sheets of metal, and the frequent microwaves, which are very dense waves generated in a magnetron, which is what is being sent to your cell phone and the internet, are generated in a cavity called a magnetron. So it's not just their frequency that is disturbing to me. What's disturbing to me about them is they're so dense in the magnetron. They get trapped inside this cavity, and they go shooting out towards the different devices. They're so dense that they have the ability to damage DNA. Yahoo News reported that 15 minutes on a laptop on a male's laps mutated their sperm.
Right.
And if you mutate your sperm, your offspring could be damaged. They may or may not be damaged.
Right.
So the initial idea was to block, and the first metal that had some ability to block was molybdenum, and molybdenum-based steel, but it could only block about 30% effectively of today's microwaves. Because now we're going into 5G networks. And the 5G networks the wavelengths are as short as raindrops, the size of a raindrops, and those wavelengths are going to hit all of the moisture coming down from the sky, and therefore damage and restructure all the water as it's coming down. And they have to make the signal. They have to have more towers because the raindrops are going to block the signals. And so they have to put more, like Sedona, Arizona, I was told is going to get 40 towers for the new network, whereas they only have 8 now. So you can imagine what it's going to do to your DNA to have these super networks running. So what that means is the first idea was to block, and I found that blocking materials overprotect your cells from what they need. Our cells live on photosynthesis, and when I say photo, I don't just mean visible light from the sun. I mean the cosmic rays from the stars, the frequency of the Earth, the frequencies of our sun, and the frequencies of the 9 planets.
Right.
Because all the 9 planets have wavelengths, and all those frequencies we have available on my website, the frequencies of the 9 planets. They all correspond to the 5 different brainwave states. The big planets are the delta planets, like Saturn and Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune produce delta waves at their equators. And so those waves at the speed of light reach us, and they all affect our consciousness. So if you start blocking, putting up these curtains made of metal,
right,
you're going to overprotect yourself, and then you're going to die energetically. You're going to starve your body and your cells. And it was frustrating at first to see what they're doing to us and say, what's the answer? I was really searching for the answer. And then I came to the metal tungsten, and tungsten is used to carry gamma-emitting radioactive substances because it blocks gamma rays. And if you block gamma rays, you block everything underneath it, including microwaves. But the problem with tungsten is you're going to block everything, and you're really going to kill your cells.
Right.
And you're going to lose all your energy. You can't live in a tungsten box, and it's way too expensive to get. Tungsten sheet is $400 a square foot. So you're talking. I said I can't sell this. I can't sell a tungsten, sheets. And I came to the point where I realized the only solution is to transmit harmonic frequencies to create not only a recalibration of your DNA every day, just like you meditate every day or you sleep every day, every night, you need to reharmonize your body and your living space. And that was the only answer, because that way you're getting frequencies that are desirable to the nervous system rather than the undesirable ones that we're being bombarded with. And you need frequency to live on.
But you're still getting the bad ones, right?
You're still getting the bad ones, but they're so weak in actuality. Like, I have good meters that they are affecting you tremendously. But when you use you have your own transmitter in your house, like one of my coils. That field is hundreds of times stronger than the incoming.
Okay.
So it overrides it completely.
Oh, okay. That was a question.
And the staff and the coil can be used. You can put a high frequency, like the frequency we talked about earlier. The wavelength of the capstone base of the Great Pyramid is 5.151 megahertz. So you can transmit that into your house, and that's a harmonic, and that's megahertz, right? Right. And that's and that, even though the law of transmitting frequency is called the inverse square law, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker the further the light, because it is light that's coming off my products. It's just that it's
with the square
light.
Of the distance from the source, right?
Yeah, the square of the distance from the source is the fall off, but it's still there. So I can hold up a meter when the internet is on, and I won't see much on the meter, but it's there. And it's your internet, and your body's being affected by all of it because your body is super weak. It's a very weak magnetic field, which means it's
and weak electrical impulses too.
Yeah, at Dartmouth College, they did studies measuring the magnetic field of the human heart, and they had to isolate the subjects in chambers and use squid magnetometers, and sure enough, there's a magnetic field around every person. So that means you are being affected by the frequencies.
Right.
So you put one of my devices in your house or your office, and it will recalibrate everybody's nervous system. And you don't need to run it all the time. I mean, with high frequency, you can run it all the time. You can put you can take the frequency of the Holy of Holies, exact numbers, which I have, and you can run that all the time, and it will just keep the space harmonized. You can run it day and night. But the wand and the coil, the lower frequencies where the physical part of the brain works, you just do treatments on yourself or your space like once a day.
So what do you do when you have to go out of your house?
You see, we have another program for that. It's called it's our quantum energy protection. And you can sign up for it on the site, and this was proven by Ruth Drown, who's the mother of radionics, that if you have a sample of a person's DNA, which is in your hair, and I vibrate your DNA with the frequencies at a distance, then it will synchronize with your DNA wherever you are on the planet, and it will send you those frequencies through the quantum mechanism faster than the speed of light. And that's our quantum energy protection program. For people who don't want to do anything, they just send us your hair, and you pay a little bit of money, and you become part of that service.
That's interesting, and that's a constant thing that you're sending out, right?
Yeah, it's what happens is that your hair goes in a fusion type device, and it's emitting harmonics all the time, so it just sends it to you wherever you are. It's a new thing we're doing, and the first participants are already pretty blown away. I mean, for example, like let's say Ruth Drown would ask for a sample of your blood. Now, I'm not going to have people send me their blood, and it goes in a secure location, like it's not in my house, and it's done in a very pristine place. So I don't want your blood. That I would get in a lot of trouble if you sent me your blood, but. That's part of how Ruth Drown got into trouble with the AMA, is people were sending blood samples on paper. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to deal with people's blood. I mean, hair works just as good.
Hair should be fine, yeah. What about the people who put these little things that are sold that attach to your cell phone? What do you think about that?
No, there's not much happening there. No, there's no way that could stop. Again, it won't stop, but I have a hologram that we took from the sound of the sun, vibration in water, and that hologram, we were etching it with a laser into the into an actual aluminum plate, so it's not just a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And when you create a groove in a material like aluminum, then the electrons will travel in the circles in the groove, and that will set up a resonance.
So it actually have an effect when you put it against the device?
It won't block. You can't block the radiation. Remember, there's no way to block it. And the cell phone won't work if you block it.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell if it's working because the cell phone won't answer a call.
Exactly. It won't even take a call.
Right.
So some of these blockers that came out, I bought some of, and they were even in Wired magazine. So we bought one. I got my meter.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't blocking anything. It was a total lie. Only tungsten will do it. Only tungsten.
Right. Okay. So basically, the alternative that you would suggest is on your site right now.
Yeah, reharmonize.
Right.
Only to do it.
All right.
That's my baby screaming in the background over a doll, if you can hear that.
Yeah.
You hear me screaming. But so, anything else?
No, I think that's great. That's enough for people to absorb for right now, and hopefully we'll get a chance to visit again soon.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to do the staff project next with you.
Exactly. That would be fun.